Hello everyone and welcome back to the Azure Back to School. My name is Hugo Barona and today I'm going to explain you how you can leverage Blazor WebAssembly in this case and Azure Static Web App to build your client-side apps seamlessly. First of all, I would like to thank Dwayne for this opportunity to contribute to the community and to this great initiative. And first, I would like to start by introducing myself. So I'm a cloud solutions architect based in Dublin. Also, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer delivering training related to the clouds. And also, a few months ago, I started to deliver course to Pluralsight. So in case you have a Pluralsight subscription, or if you don't have, I recommend you to give it a try. You have trial subscription available, so you can access amazing contents delivered by many great authors here in Pluralsight. And also I have here two courses available, one that explains you how you can get started with Power Platform, and another one that explains you how to manage your database performance of your Azure SQL database. Also, I'm an active member of the community, and I usually try to find time to contribute to community initiatives. And currently, I'm active on the Cloud Lunch and Learn initiative. So this is an initiative that we started back in May this year. And we started by delivering lunch and learn sessions to enable the community to learn about the cloud. I invite you to have a visit to our website so you can get to know more about this initiative and connect with our great team. And we started recently an event this weekend named Ideathon. So I invite you as well to have a look to our event page and get more information about the events. This is really promising events, and it's a different concept that we are trying to introduce on the Cloud Lunch and Learn. So any questions, if you want to connect with us, feel free to connect with us. And also, if you want to contribute to this initiative, you are more than welcome. So let's start with our session. First of all, I would like to explain you that I pre-prepared a few steps before starting this session, so I could reduce the time of this session so it would fit the given time. So essentially, the two first steps in order to finalize the example that I'm going to show you today. So in this case, creating your Blazor WebAssembly app and committing your web app to the GitHub, in this case to your GitHub repository. I pre-prepared those steps, so we are going to skip those steps. But essentially, if you did not create a Blazor app before, I invite you to have a look to this Blazor tutorial available in the Microsoft website under the Learning Center. And it's an amazing tutorial with all the steps you need to perform in order to create your first Blazor app. So I invite you to have a look to this tutorial so you can get familiar on how to create your Blazor app. In this case, I created my Blazor app using Visual Studio. Once you install essentially Blazor in your local machine and you create your web app and your projects, you should be able to just run your Blazor app. In this case, run it locally in your local machine. And essentially, you should be able to validate that your app runs successfully. In this case, this is a sample app available that comes available with Blazor. So as you can see, our app is running successfully. So the first step is done. It is important also to mention that, as I told you, the first step as well is to create your GitHub repository. In this case, I created this Blazor static web app demo repository. Once you create your repository, you just clone your repository to your local machine. So then you are able to copy your solution to that repository and commit your files. Once you commit your files, you should be able to see your files in your repository available. So these files is basically the source code of your Blazor app. So once you have the files available on your GitHub repository, then the next step is essentially to create your Azure static web app. So you can access the Azure portal and access your subscription. And then I have here a resource group that I created previously named Azure Back to School. And using this resource group, we are going to create our static web app. So I proceed to add a new resource and I search by static web app. And let's create the static web app. This static web app is in preview mode. Essentially, the static web app is a service provided by Azure with built-in integration with GitHub that enables you to seamlessly create your web apps and quickly have them available running. So in this case, we have here the form to enable us to create our web app. You start by selecting your subscription and selecting your resource group. You can select an existing one or create a new one. Then you just need to provide the name for your web app. In this case, I will name it demo app. Also the region, in this case, I will select West Europe. The school at the moment is free, so it's free for you to use this service. And then you need essentially to sign in with your GitHub accounts. Once you sign in, you should be able to select your organization, select your repository. In this case, as I showed you before, I have this Blazor static web app demo repository. And then you select the branch. In this case, I have only a single branch named master. And then the most important thing is you need to provide the build details. So these details will be relevant depending on the type of app that you are trying to build and deploy to your static web app. In this case, we are using a Blazor app. And in the app location should be the root folder because our source files are located in the root of our repository. The API location, it's not relevant because we are not using, in this example, any API. And the app artifact location stays as the default www root. Once you are happy, you should be able to proceed and review and create your resource. So let's create our static web app. These should take a few seconds to create. It's pretty quick to create a static web app, but essentially, if we navigate now to the resource, if you try to access your web app, you will see a default page saying that it's still waiting for your contents. And this means once you finalize successfully to create your static web app, you can go back to your GitHub repository, and by accessing the Actions tab, you will essentially use the GitHub Actions feature, and you can see here that it triggered automatically a deployment of your source code files to your web app that you just created. Again, this should take a few minutes. It's pretty quick. Once you deploy this successfully, then we should be able to navigate back to our static web app and validate that our Blazor app that we created previously is running correctly and successfully in our static web app. So it's, as you can see here, is a pretty simple process. So of course you need to care about creating your app independently on the language or framework that you are using. And then essentially, once you commit your code to your GitHub repository, then you just need to create your static web app, and behind the scenes it will configure your deployments by leveraging the GitHub Actions, and it will deploy your code to your static web app. As you can see, our job is finalized successfully. If you navigate to the build and deploy action, as you can see here, then if you scroll down, you should have information about your sites, in this case your web app. So if we click here again, we'll see that it will load our Blazor app that essentially we have available in the source code. Yeah, so it's all working well. Okay, and here the other tab that I opened previously, as you can see here, yeah, it's definitely working. So I want to also explain you one important detail. Of course, this GitHub Actions is backed by workflow. So if you want to customize your workflow, depending on the type of application that you are using, or depending, for example, on the structure of folders on your projects, you can always go back to your code on your GitHub repository. Then you have this workflows folder, and inside this workflows folder you have a YAML file with your the configuration of your workflow, so you can always access this file and configure your workflow. Okay, so as you can see here, we have here the configurations that we provided via the Azure portal. We have here in your configuration file. So we have our web app running. Okay, so now I want to show you how essentially how easy it is to modify this web app and have the changes available. So let's go back to the Visual Studio, and I'm going to open the index file, and I'm going to just do a simple change here. So I'm going to say hello to the Azure, actually hello from the Azure Back to School initiative. Okay, we have here our code. You can always run again your web app to ensure that your changes are working successfully, of course. And let's just run this. As you can see here, our title got updated. So now we have the change. So I go back to the source codes, and in this case, I'm using Tortoise Git as the client. In this case, I'm going to commit my changes. I don't need to commit these files. I just need to commit my index.razor file. I'm going to provide a comment, of course. I just commit and push my change. It potentially will fail to push, of course, because I need to first pull and ensure that I have the latest version of my code running locally. So I just pull all the changes, and now I'm able to push my change. So essentially, once you push your change, then again, the GitHub Actions will kick off the job and will deploy your change. So let me just show you. Of course, in a normal scenario, you should not push changes directly to the master branch. Of course, this is only for the purpose of this demo. But yeah, essentially following the best practice, you should have at least one local branch and one potentially dev branch to reflect your development environment, one for your UAT branch to your UAT environment and staging. Well, depends on the branching strategy essentially that you are using. So if we go back to our Actions tab, as you can see here, we have here a job running. So it's essentially building the application and deploying again. So again, it should take a few seconds. By the way, Cloud Launch and Learn essentially use a static web app, of course, because it's definitely an easy way for us to leverage this service and Blazor and quickly build the proper websites to run this community initiative. Okay, we have our deployment done, and as you can see here, we have here the link. If we open the link, the new title should show. Yes, so we have here the new title. So you can see how easy it is to push your changes. Now, I would like to just share with you before we close a few relevant links that I think enables you to take your Blazor app to the next level. So first of all, I would like to share with you this amazing article published back in May about the Blazor WebAssembly 3.2 being available. And the important detail on this article, one of the important details that I want to share with you in this article is there is a session here dedicated to open source and community contributions. So as you can see here, you have great examples of projects that are being created by the community members. And essentially, I want to highlight two projects here. One is the Blazor Eyes. And this Blazor Eyes basically provides you components built using Blazor and with support for different CSS frameworks, including Bootstrap, Bulma, and Ant Design. As you know, in our Blazor app, by default, it comes with the Bootstrap, okay, configured, so you can quickly connect Blazor Eyes with support for Bootstrap and start to use their components that they have available. Components such as carousel, so you can build an easy carousel with pretty much nice image and really simple. Also, you can build models to your app, also tables to show information. So of course, by default, using Bootstrap, you can do this, but it would take much more work for you to do this. So essentially, this library simplifies and reduces the amount of work that you need to do in order to have these components available in your app. So it's an amazing project. Also, another project I want to highlight to you is the B units. So essentially, this is a testing library that enables you to test your Blazor components and perform unit tests. So as you can see here, we have an example of in our example that we just deployed just right now, the sample app. You have counter components. So let me just show you here. So here you can see our counter components that essentially has a current count number and has a button that allows you to increment the counts and will show the current value. And as you can see here, these libraries shows you a quick example how you can create a unit test that's essentially will allow you to test these components, okay, the counter components, and in this case simulates actions in your test, simulate actions using the controls available in your component, and then checking the contents if it's the expected one. So definitely, I would recommend you to have a look to this library if you want to include tests, unit tests, and ensure good quality of your code in your Blazor app. Definitely, this is a great option that you have available. And with this, I finalize this session. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, I'm sorry for the short and the quick demo, but in case you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You have all my contacts available in my website, so hugobarona.com. And you have here all my contacts, so my Twitter and my mail and my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to contact me in case you have any questions, and have a great day. Thank you.